God says there's a quiet stirring in your spirit tonight. You've felt it for a while, that strange, almost unexplainable sense that something isn't sitting right, even though you've been trying your best to hold everything together. You've smiled through the confusion, prayed through the silence, and kept showing up even when your faith felt fragile. Deep down, you know God loves you. You've never doubted that entirely. But lately, something feels off. It's not that His love has faded, it's that your heart has been aching for a sign that He still sees you, still hears you, still has a plan that makes sense of all the pieces that don't seem to fit anymore. Maybe you've been praying for something specific, a breakthrough, a confirmation, a direction. Maybe you've whispered the same question night after night, God, is this still your will? Am I still on the right path? And sometimes, when heaven seems quiet, you wonder if maybe you missed something. You wonder if maybe He's disappointed in you. But no, that's not what's happening. What you're feeling right now isn't abandonment, it's alignment. It's the weight that comes when God is rearranging things inside of you before He reveals what's coming next. When you start to grow, it's rarely comfortable. You feel the stretching, the uncertainty, the loneliness of it. But God has been closer in these last few months than He's ever been. You just haven't realized it because His presence hasn't looked the way you expected. He's been in the delays, the closed doors, the quiet mornings when nothing moved. He's been whispering through what seemed like empty space, preparing you to see what He's been building in the unseen. There was a time when you thought love meant constant confirmation, that if God loved you, He'd make everything clear, that He'd open every door instantly. But real love, divine love, is deeper than ease. It's about trust. It's about the kind of faith that doesn't need constant proof to keep believing. And yet, because He knows your heart, because He's seen your quiet tears and your late-night prayers, He's about to send you the sign you've been waiting for, the one that will remind you that He never left, never forgot, never stopped working. You might not realize it yet, but something sacred is shifting. The silence has been a seed, not a punishment. The stillness you felt, that pause between what was and what's coming, is God's way of protecting you from rushing into things that would have broken your spirit. He's been letting certain things fall away, not because He wants you to lose, but because He's preparing space for what truly belongs to you. That relationship that faded, that job that slipped away, that dream that seemed to die, none of those things were failures. They were lessons dressed as losses. God was never taking something from you without planning to replace it with something greater. But before that greater can come, He needs your heart to be ready. And that's why you've felt this tension, this spiritual pull between who you were and who you're becoming. You're evolving, even if it feels messy. The person you were a year ago couldn't hold what God's about to pour out. That version of you would have doubted it, questioned it, maybe even sabotaged it. But the version He's shaping now, the one forged through tears, confusion, patience, and perseverance, that version is ready. That's why things feel off, because you're being rewired from within. God's love doesn't always show up as light, sometimes it shows up as pressure. The kind that reshapes you, tests your patience, and forces you to surrender control. And it's in that surrender that He reveals Himself most clearly. The truth is, He's never stopped loving you, but He's teaching you how to love yourself through His eyes. Because when you start to see yourself the way He does, the doubt loses its voice. The fear quiets. The confusion begins to fade. You might not see it yet, but every unanswered prayer has been a redirection. Every closed door has been protection. Every delay has been divine timing. And soon, that sign you've been asking for, the one you've prayed, would confirm that He's still with you. It's on its way. It might not look like thunder or fire. It might not come as a loud miracle. It may appear quietly, in the form of peace that settles in your heart after months of unrest. It may come as an unexpected message, a person showing up at the exact right moment, or a sudden clarity that leaves no doubt that God has been orchestrating everything behind the scenes. When that sign comes, you'll feel it in your spirit before you see it with your eyes. You'll know. It won't be something you'll have to question or overanalyze, because it'll come with the same presence that you've been longing for, the one that makes your soul feel at home. That's how God works. He doesn't just send answers, He sends awareness. He wakes something up inside of you that reminds you who you are and whose you are. He's been watching the way you've handled this season, the patience you've practiced, the way you've tried to keep faith even when it felt like you were running on empty. Heaven noticed every time you prayed for others while you were hurting yourself. God saw how you still tried to be kind when you could have been bitter, how you forgave people who never apologized, how you stayed soft in a world that tried to harden you. Those moments mattered. They were tests, yes, but also testimonies in the making. Because you proved that your faith wasn't conditional, it wasn't based only on blessings, but on love. And love like that always gets rewarded. You see, when something feels off, it's not always a sign of danger, sometimes it's a divine alert. It's your spirit recognizing that the old energy no longer fits. God is trying to elevate you, but the spaces you used to settle in are too small now. You're outgrowing conversations, environments, habits, even mindsets. That's not pride, that's progress. You're not difficult or distant, you're just discerning now. You no longer crave chaos because you've tasted peace, and peace will always feel foreign at first when you've lived in survival mode for too long. And God knows that. That's why He's been patient with you. That's why He's been allowing you to rest, to recalibrate, to realize your worth without rushing. The world tells you to keep moving, keep proving. But God says, be still. Because in stillness, the truth surfaces. You start to see what's real, who genuinely loves you, who only showed up for what you could give, and who was sent to stay. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's part of the reason it's felt off lately. Your discernment has increased, and not everything around you aligns with the person you're becoming. You're sensing things you didn't before. You're noticing when conversations drain your spirit. You're feeling resistance when you try to force old connections to work. That's not coincidence, that's divine awareness. God is fine-tuning your intuition so you can recognize His fingerprints on your path. He doesn't want you to go back to what broke you, or keep chasing things that were only meant to teach you. He's guiding you toward people and places that match your growth. And to do that, He sometimes has to let your comfort crumble. That's where you are right now, standing between comfort and calling. It feels off because your soul knows you can't stay where you've been, but your mind hasn't fully caught up yet. That's okay. Transitions are uncomfortable. But remember this: when God is silent, He's not absent. When things fall apart, it's often because He's rebuilding something better. You won't always understand the blueprint, but you can trust the builder. And somewhere soon, maybe even sooner than you expect, you'll see that sign, the one that reminds you this wasn't all for nothing. You'll realize that every late night spent wondering why was preparing you to receive your how. You'll see how the timing fits perfectly, how the pieces align effortlessly. You'll feel peace where you used to feel panic. And in that moment, you'll understand what He's been doing all along. You've been walking through days that felt heavy, like you were carrying invisible weight no one else could see. Some mornings you woke up strong, ready to fight through the doubt, and other days it felt like the light was fading. But through every wave of uncertainty, something inside you kept whispering, "Don't give up yet. Something's coming." That whisper wasn't random. It was the voice of the Spirit reminding you that even when everything feels unstable, His promise still stands. There are moments when God hides you, not because you're unworthy, but because He's refining you in private before revealing you in public. You might have wondered why certain people stopped noticing you, why your effort seemed unseen, or why the doors that once opened easily suddenly closed. It's because God is pulling you out of environments that can't handle your next level. He's isolating you to elevate you. And isolation always feels like rejection at first. But once you see what He's protecting you from, you'll realize it was love disguised as distance. It's in those quiet, hidden seasons that your roots grow deeper. You learn to rely on His voice instead of applause. You start to recognize peace over popularity. You begin to understand that not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some exits are divine evacuations, God rescuing you from what would have delayed your destiny. He's been preparing you for a new chapter, and preparation always feels like pressure. You felt that pressure in your spirit lately, that stirring that says, "I can't stay stuck anymore." You've started to crave authenticity, real connection, purpose that feels alive. That's not random, that's God awakening your true identity. The version of you that once accepted less just to feel safe is no longer satisfied. You're being called to a higher standard, in love, in purpose, in peace. And yes, it's scary. Because change always is. You've had to let go of people you thought would be there forever. You've had to walk away from dreams that once defined you. But every ending has carried you closer to the life you were meant to live, one built on truth, not illusion. The reason it feels like something is off is because your spirit is no longer aligned with anything false. You're waking up. You're becoming aware. You can't pretend anymore. And though that awakening hurts, it's the proof that God's hand is still on you. He's not angry with you. He's not disappointed in how long it's taken. He's proud that you're still here, still reaching, still believing, still open. There's a quiet strength in you that's been forming in the shadows. You don't see it yet, but heaven does. And soon, that strength is going to be needed, because when your sign comes, it won't just be confirmation for you. It'll be a message to others that faith through the storm is never wasted. You've had nights when your prayers felt unanswered, when it seemed like God was distant. But sometimes His silence is His strategy. He's been building patience in you because patience is what keeps you stable when blessings arrive. Without it, you'd mistake timing for denial, and you'd try to force what's meant to flow. God doesn't want you to live from fear anymore, fear of missing out, fear of being alone, fear of running out of time. He wants you to rest in the truth that nothing truly meant for you will ever require you to beg for it. That's why certain doors closed so suddenly. You might have thought you did something wrong, but you didn't. You outgrew the version of yourself that fit in those spaces. God saw what you couldn't. He saw the hidden motives, the cracks in the foundation, the compromises that would have cost you later. And rather than let you build your future on unstable ground, He let it crumble. Painful? Yes. Necessary? Absolutely. Because you can't carry peace and pretense at the same time. And maybe that's the real message tonight. You've been mistaking the absence of movement for the absence of meaning. But in truth, every still moment has been a setup. God's been rearranging hearts, shifting opportunities, preparing divine alignments you couldn't orchestrate on your own. He's positioning the right people, the right timing, the right environment so that when the sign comes, it won't be forced, it'll be fluent. You won't have to chase it, it will meet you in alignment. The sign you've been praying for might not come in lightning and thunder. It might come in something simple but undeniable, a conversation that changes everything, a door that opens effortlessly, an unexpected peace that doesn't make sense on paper. When it happens, you'll know it's Him because it will carry that unmistakable clarity, that peace that doesn't shout but settles. You won't need to convince anyone else, your spirit will recognize it instantly. In the meantime, don't let the waiting convince you that you're forgotten. God's delays are never denials, they're divine timing disguised as patience training. Every delay has been intentional. You were never late, you were being developed. There are things He's been refining in you that could only be learned through waiting. Like learning to trust without proof. Learning to hope without visible signs. Learning to stand even when the wind tries to knock you down. And now, that season is reaching its turning point. The same God who allowed you to walk through the valley is now guiding you toward the mountain. You've passed tests you didn't even know were tests. You've proven your heart when it would have been easier to quit. And heaven is responding to that faith. You might start to feel things shift subtly, energy around you changing, new opportunities stirring, people reappearing or disappearing in unexpected ways. Don't panic. It's alignment happening in real time. God is weaving together threads that have been separate for years, and suddenly, what once didn't make sense will fit perfectly. You'll look back and see that every heartbreak, every delay, every tear had purpose. Nothing was wasted. God is about to show you that the story isn't over, it's just reaching the part where redemption shows up. The sign you've been praying for isn't a random miracle, it's a confirmation that the promise still stands. And when it arrives, you'll know it wasn't luck, it was love. His love. The kind that never gives up, never misleads, never forgets. There will come a morning soon when you'll wake up and something will feel different. The air will be lighter. The tension in your chest will be gone. You won't even realize right away that the shift has happened, but as the day unfolds you'll notice small confirmations everywhere, the right song playing at the exact right moment, a text from someone you'd been thinking about, an unexpected opportunity that carries peace instead of pressure. You'll pause and smile because you'll sense it in your spirit before your mind can catch up. This is the sign. It won't be loud, but it will be clear. And it will feel like God whispering, see? I never left. When that moment comes, you'll finally understand why the path had to twist the way it did. Every disappointment, every delay, every confusing detour will make sense in a single instant. You'll see how each season prepared you for the next, how every unanswered prayer was really an answered one in disguise. The things that once broke you will become the very proof that grace was holding you all along. And instead of asking, "Why me?" you'll start saying, "Thank you." Because the truth is, God has been answering you the entire time, just not in the language of your expectation. He spoke through redirection when you thought he was silent. He protected you with closed doors when you begged for open ones. He used heartbreak to teach you boundaries, and loneliness to teach you worth. He let certain people walk away so your future could walk in. Every no carried his fingerprints of mercy. And when you finally stand in the light of that realization, you'll feel the release. The weight you've been carrying, the what-ifs, the guilt, the endless overthinking, will drop from your shoulders like it was never meant to stay. You'll breathe differently. You'll stop apologizing for needing time. You'll stop chasing approval that never satisfied. You'll start living like someone who knows they are loved, not someone trying to earn it. That's what this entire season has been about, learning to receive love instead of constantly trying to prove your value. God has been teaching you that you are not defined by what worked out or what didn't. You are defined by the one who has never changed his mind about you. The storms you faced didn't disqualify you, they deepened you. They made you real. They gave you empathy for others who are still in their valleys. And because of that, your purpose has matured. You won't just survive anymore, you'll lead, you'll comfort, you'll remind others that light still exists after darkness. The sign you're waiting for isn't just confirmation of a promise, it's the beginning of a new chapter of courage. It's the evidence that faith does more than keep you hopeful, it transforms you. When you see the sign, don't rush past it. Sit in the moment. Breathe it in. Let it heal the parts of you that still doubt. Let it remind you that even when you couldn't trace his hand, his heart was holding yours. And don't be surprised if the blessing looks simple. Sometimes God hides the miraculous in the ordinary. He places answers inside daily life so that only those who've learned to look with faith will notice. A conversation at the right time. A door that opens quietly. A peace that shows up without explanation. That's how he works, subtly, but unmistakably. You'll look back one day and realize that the season which felt off was actually sacred. It was the womb of your next beginning. You weren't being punished, you were being prepared. You weren't being forgotten, you were being formed. And now, you're ready to receive without fear, to love without losing yourself, to walk forward without needing to see every step. Because now you know, his love was never the question. The journey was simply his way of helping you believe it. Soon, the very things that once made you cry will make you grateful. The very moments that felt like endings will reveal themselves as introductions. You'll understand that the silence was where strength was born, and that the stillness was where your faith grew roots deep enough to hold everything He's about to give. You won't have to search for the sign anymore. It will find you, exactly where you are, when your heart is quiet, your mind surrendered, your hands open. And when it does, you'll recognize that it's not just a message from God, it's a reflection of how much He's trusted you with this story. So keep your eyes open. Keep your heart soft. Keep expecting, not out of desperation, but out of confidence that love never fails. The waiting is almost over. The sign is on its way. And when it comes, it will not just confirm His promise, it will confirm your transformation. Because you are not who you used to be. You are stronger, wiser, gentler. You carry peace differently now. You understand that faith isn't about controlling the outcome, it's about trusting the author. And the author has written something beautiful for you, something that starts with this truth echoing in your soul: He loves you. Always has. Always will. And nothing, not even this strange in-between feeling, can change that. Something felt off only because something greater was being aligned. The sign you've been praying for is already in motion, and soon, it will appear, not as proof that He returned, but as proof that He never left.